Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take those tricky topics and, well, we try to make sense of them for you. Today, we're diving into something really current, maybe a bit thorny actually, how online marketplaces are dealing with, the whole AI-generated content explosion. And we're focusing right in on Etsy. What are the rules for selling stuff made with artificial intelligence?
And we're using a really helpful blog post from Succeed with Content as our guide here. It lays out Etsy's latest thinking, especially for things like digital printables made with AI. Super relevant if you're selling or even just browsing.
Yeah, definitely.
So our goal for this deep dive is pretty straightforward. We want to unpack what Etsy actually says about using AI for products. What do you need to do as a seller? What's all the fuss about the controversy? And, well, where might things go next? Because it's changing fast.
It really is.
Yeah.
Okay, let's jump in. To really get Etsy's current position, you kind of need to remember its roots, right?
Oh, absolutely.
For ages, Etsy was the place for handmade. Unique crafted items, jewelry, art, maybe refurbished furniture, stuff with a story, made by a person.
Exactly. It was all about the maker, that human touch, the craft. But then the digital world just kept growing. Digital products, printables, templates, that kind of thing became huge. And Etsy, well, they adapted. It became a big space for digital creators, too.
Which already started to stretch that handmade idea a bit, didn't it?
It did. And now you throw in AI, these tools that can generate images, designs, text almost instantly for certain things. Suddenly creating some types of digital products is incredibly fast. And that creates a real headache for a platform like Etsy, built on that human-made foundation. How do you fit AI into that?
Right. That tension sort of forced their hand, it seems. And so in 2024, they came out with these specific guidelines for AI-assisted products.
Yep, they had to address it. The tech was already showing up all over the site.
Okay, so let's get straight to it. The million-dollar question, really, for sellers and maybe shoppers, too. Can you actually sell products made using AI on Etsy now?
The short answer, based on our source material, is yes. Etsy is allowing it.
Okay. Yes, but there are conditions, I assume.
Definitely conditions. Our source points out some very specific wording Etsy used. They said they'd continue to allow sellers to use their original prompts in combination with AI tools to create the artwork they sell on Etsy.
Ah, original prompts. That feels important. What's the thinking behind emphasizing that specific phrase?
Well, it seems like a way to push back against calls for just banning AI altogether. By focusing on the original prompt, Etsy is sort of acknowledging that, hey, there's still human skill involved here. Writing a good prompt, guiding the AI to get something unique and usable, that takes effort. It's not just the machine, it's the person directing it.
So it's like recognizing the craft in the prompt itself, the human input guiding the tool?
Kind of, yeah. That seems to be the logic. But, and this is a big but, allowing it comes with a major string attached. There's something sellers absolutely have to do.
Disclosure, right? You have to tell people.
Exactly. Non-negotiable, according to the source. The policy states, sellers must disclose within their listing description if an item is created with the use of AI.
Okay, so no ban, but full transparency is mandatory. They're basically saying, use the tools, fine, but let the buyer know and let them decide.
That's the strategy. Put the choice in the shopper's hands.
Right.
And the source explains how they're doing this right now, how you actually make that disclosure. It's in the item details when you list something.
Right, you have to pick a category for how it was made. And this is where it gets a bit messy, isn't it?
It is a bit confusing. The options, as the source lists them, are handpicked for vintage stuff, sourced like party supplies you bought, handmade, which covers things you physically made, even using tools like a Cricut, and then designed.
And that's the category for AI digital products.
And that's where they currently slot in, yes. But here's the problem. The critique our source highlights. Designed also covers digital products made entirely by a human using, say, Photoshop or Procreate. No AI involved at all.
Ah, okay, I see the issue. So my intricate digital painting, made entirely by hand over days, goes in the same bucket as an image generated from a text prompt in under a minute. Both just labeled designed.
Exactly. It kind of muddies the waters, doesn't it? It lumps together really different creation methods. And the source mentions there's a real push, a hope, from many sellers for Etsy to create a separate category, something specifically for AI-generated items.
Yeah, that makes sense. For real clarity.
It would provide the transparency the current designed label doesn't quite offer on its own.
You can totally see why a digital artist who puts in huge amounts of time would feel well, maybe undervalued,
Yeah.
putting their work next to something generated so quickly.
It definitely raises questions about effort, skill, and how value is communicated, especially on Etsy, which always champion the maker's effort. And yeah, there's been a lot of noise online. A lot of sellers aren't happy about this ambiguity.
Okay, so AI products are allowed, with that disclosure, using the design category for now. But you mentioned something else related to AI that Etsy did ban outright.
Yes, very specifically. And interestingly, this ban came out at the same time they announced the rules allowing AI-created products. Etsy has banned the sale of AI prompt bundles.
Right, so you can use your prompt to make the art, sell the art, and disclose it, but you can't just sell a list of your clever prompts.
That's exactly it. It seems they see the value or want the value to be seen in the final creative output, not just in the instructions given to the AI, selling the prompts themselves as a product. That's a no-go on Etsy now.
And our source had a pretty stark number related to that ban, didn't it, about removals?
It did. Apparently, Etsy removed twice as many product listings in 2024 compared to 2023, right around when these AI policies and the prompt ban hit.
Wow. So selling prompt bundles must have been a pretty big thing already.
It suggests it was becoming quite common, yeah. And Etsy moved decisively to stop it, to keep the focus on the end products, not the prompts themselves.
Okay, so we have the rules. AI products okay with disclosure, prompt bundles banned. But why has this been so controversial? What's the core of the opposition?
The source really points to the longtime sellers, particularly those doing traditional crafts or very involved human digital design. Their main fear, their core argument, is that this flood of AI stuff is going to hurt their business.
And it comes back to what you said earlier, speed and price, right?
That's the heart of it. AI can generate designs or variations incredibly quickly. The source uses the phrase "in less than a minute" for some things. Now, compare that to, hand painting a canvas or meticulously crafting a piece of jewelry, or even spending hours designing a complex digital pattern manually.
Just worlds apart in terms of time investment per item.
Exactly. And if you can create tons of stuff super fast, you could potentially list way more items and maybe sell them much cheaper because your time cost is so low.
Which then creates this huge pressure on the traditional makers.
Right. They feel like their skills, their time, the materials they use, it's all being undercut by potentially millions of AI-generated items that might look similar enough to the average buyer, but are available for way less. It feels like a threat to their livelihood, their craft.
It's that classic tension. New technology versus established ways of doing things. And Etsy's caught right in the middle.
Pretty much. The source frames it as Etsy trying this really difficult balancing act. How do they keep their original base happy, the OG users, the handmade folks, while also making room for people using new tech, like AI? They're trying to respect their past, but also engage with the future of creation. And it's clearly causing some friction.
So given how fast AI is moving and all this debate, are these rules likely to stick, or are we expecting changes?
Oh, the source is very clear on this. Expect change. These rules are absolutely not final. They're almost guaranteed to evolve.
Because the tech itself isn't standing still?
Exactly. AI is, as the source says, evolving every day. What these tools can do now is different from last year, and it'll be different again next year. They're getting better, faster, easier to use.
So Etsy's policies basically have to be flexible. They need to adapt as the technology and how people use it keeps changing. It's kind of a wait-and-see game.
It really is. But maybe wait and adapt is more accurate. They'll have to keep watching how AI impacts the marketplace, how the tech develops, and tweak the rules as they go.
Okay, let's wrap this up and connect it back to you, our listener, whether you're selling on Etsy, thinking about it, or just shopping there. So the quick takeaway. Yes, Etsy allows AI-assisted products if you use your own original prompts, and it's a big but you must disclose that AI was used. Selling just the prompts themselves, banned.
And remember, there's definite tension here. Traditional sellers worry about competition from fast, potentially low-cost AI creations. Etsy's trying to balance these different seller groups.
And crucially, these rules are fluid. Expect them to change as AI continues its rapid development.
So think about what this means for you. If you sell, are you following the disclosure rules? How is this shift affecting your shop? If you buy, does knowing something is AI-made change your mind? Is the current designed label clear enough for you? Just understanding this landscape helps you navigate Etsy, whichever side you're on.
It really highlights how quickly tech can shake things up, doesn't it? Even in spaces built around tradition.
It really does. And it leaves us with a pretty big thought to chew on, maybe. Given Etsy started as this champion of the handmade, the unique, the story behind the item.
Yeah.
How do they keep defining that value? How do they balance the human touch against the efficiency and, well, the different kind of creativity AI offers?
Yeah.
Where do they draw the line in the future?
Yeah, is value in the tool or the person using it? Or both? And how does a platform even communicate that effectively? It's fundamental stuff for a marketplace like Etsy in this day and age. Definitely something to keep an eye on.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
That brings us to the end of this deep dive on Etsy and AI. Hope that cleared things up a bit for you.